Today I'm going to show you how to do this very snazzy looking tatted barrette that I can't see where I put it on my head. It's fairly simple. All you need really is going to be tatting needles, some thread, some time, and of course a barrette. This is a slightly more advanced skill set than just a basic video, so kind of sped up to go with it. And a reminder note is every time I make a picot loop, I don't count the stitchings that hold that in place. So I was making notes of, hey, I'm not counting this one. I've been doing needle tatting for about 5 years. I learned how to do it off the internet, so I'm not perfect. It's just, it makes sense to me and I understand it this way. I'm horrible with writing patterns, so please just kind of give it a whirl. Change what you need, make it the way that works for you. So yeah, have fun, keep going at it. It seems a little weird when you're working on it, but the more you do it, it's quite enjoyable. And it's a good stress relief because you kind of just zone out. So have fun! Today we are going to make a tatted hair barrette using the tatting flower pattern. You can see video step 1. It's pretty easy to go through. It takes a little bit of time, but not that much. So we're going to use this as our center. Okay, so step 2 outside of that is you're going to get your thread. Today we're working in size 5 crochet thread. It's nice and thick, comparison purposes. This is the tatted flower in size 10 that I made right before the video. This is in size 5, so hopefully the size 5 you guys can see better. I know it helps me be able to see what I'm doing. Okay. So, because I'm not doing shuttle tatting, I stay connected to the ball at all times, which makes it easier for me because then I can see what I'm working with and how much I have left. So what you'll want to do is you'll get your center flower piece. You're going to get a pretty good tail on the needle. So I always have this, and then I always add extra because I always end up using my tails to sew in, and then I hide them later or use them for something else. So you're going to thread the needle through a picot loop of one of the rings. You got 4 rings to choose from. I just always start here just as a starting point so I know where I started at. And then we're gonna get, yeah, that's perfect. Okay, from here, for simplicity's sake, I'm just gonna tie a knot on it. It'll help keep my center of where I'm working. Okay, and you're gonna chain 3, stitch 1, stitch 2, stitch 1, stitch 2, stitch 1, stitch 3. Okay, then I'm gonna make the first picot, and I always end up adding, I know that's the picot, I always make a full double stitch for my own purposes so I know where I'm working, and it helps me kind of keep the space open. And then we're going to make chain 1, chain 2, chain 3. Gonna make another picot. We're going to do this 3 times. Chain 1, chain 2, chain 3. So that gives me 2 picots. I'm going to do the last one. Chain, okay, not counting that stitch, so chain 1, chain 2, chain 3. So technically you can say I do 4 chains after each loop because I don't count that in any of my pattern pieces. I always make it, but I never count it when I write it down. So from here, we're going to close the ring. And if you get kind of caught up in your own stuff, the nice thing is you can just pull it and it works. The size 5 stuff has a little less chance of breaking than some of the smaller threads. Sorry, it's kind of, there we go. Okay, and then I always tie a knot at the end of that, and then I make a second knot. I got that twisted. I make a second knot by threading in through the picot and yarning over and making it here. The reason why I do the 2 is it contains this ring, especially if something were to happen to it, and then it just makes this a little more stable for the next chain that I'm going to do, because I'm going to make a filigree part basically, which is going to be this outer ring. So I'm going to start with a ring and then make a chain over, which will then join into the next ring once I make the next one. So this is a completed version of round 2 that I've started. Okay, I'll make a few more of those for visual purposes. Okay, chain 1, chain 2, and 3. And from here, I'm going to join into the last picot loop of the first ring that I made. Okay, and there's the end of my joining picot stitch. So I'm going to do chain 1, chain 2, chain 3. Okay, and then I'm going to make another picot loop. 1, 2, and 3. Like I said, I don't count that one. It's just how my brain works. Okay, we're going to make a third one, because all of this pattern is basically done in sets of 3, which makes it really easy. So now that I have the first joining picot and then 2 regular picots, I'm going to pull this through without closing the work. So that's going to look like this, which will make a nice little filigree bar. And then I'm going to thread it through the middle picot of the chain part from the very center. And from here I'm going to make another ring. And go chain 1, and 2, and 3. And then I'm going to join to the very last picot loop. Okay, and join to the front. And then I'm going to make a back stitch to make sure it stays in place. And then I'm going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to make 2 picot loops after this. And I'm going to chain 3 in between each of them. So that's 2 and 3. And like I said, I don't count that very first one. I'm going to make the second picot, not counting that stitch. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and this one you're going to head and going to close. And we're not going to tie it until we hit to the very last ring. Okay, and so from here, I'm going to tie a knot at the end of that to secure that ring. And then I'm going to loop the needle back through the picot that we were just working in, down here, just to make sure it stays in place. And the nice thing is with the knots is you can pull them taut. You're not going to see them ever, and then you just know that it's connected. And then it keeps the work from sliding out or trying to turn on you. Okay, we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to join again. Okay, and then 1, 2, 3. From here, you're going to make another set of the picot loop, chain 3, picot loop, chain 3, and then tie it, thread it through the next loop, and you're going to do that all the way around until you have 8 chains, or 8 rings and 8 chains, which will then look like this. So start one point and go around, go up and around, or go through, around, and then another ring, and you just keep going until you have all 8 of them. This does make a pretty nice ornament should you want to just leave it here, but we're going to continue on. So once you get all 8 done, just tie the threads and cut them. I usually run them through these center ones here, because then it's just easier to hide, because we're going to be making more on the outside of this, so I leave these free for that.